One of my next guests writing today that the spike in gold hasn't come out of nowhere. The commodity is held strong in the face of rising rates and the soaring U.S. dollar. So what is going on with the double rally in gold and Bitcoin, even as the Magnificent Seven stocks underperformed? Let's ask CNBC contributor Peter Boockvar. He's Chief Investment Officer at Bleakley Financial Group, and Morgan Stanley Private Wealth Management Senior Vice President Katerina Simonetti. Welcome to you both. Peter, can you explain it?
So let's rewind. Going into 2022, if you told me that gold would be up over a 2-year period with real rates rising by more than 400 basis points and the dollar being strong, I would not have thought that. But it was. And a lot of that had to do with enormous amount of central bank buying that really accelerated after the EU and the US confiscated half of Russia's central bank reserves, where a lot of these central banks said, hey, we don't want to be subject to that. And what's a better reserve than having gold, not just having it itself, but storing it yourself. And now that you have this weakening in the dollar, you have a drop in real rates, that is the tailwind that created this coil spring for gold to finally break out of this $2,000 level to the upside. Yes, it's down today, but I still expect it to go much higher.
Katerina, what do you, I sort of don't believe in coincidences, and to see both gold and Bitcoin breaking out today, I have to think macro, right? I have to think Fed, liquidity, I don't know, rate cuts, dollar debasement, what?
Absolutely. And Kelly, gold has been as a safe haven asset class for many years. It has been considered, a place where investors generally will go to safety. And when we look at everything that's happening in the world, geopolitical risks, coupling with the fact that interest rates are about to be, done as in terms of the hikes, and we're already pricing in the interest rate cuts for next year. But at the same time, investors are worried that despite of the cooling inflation, prices are going down. We're going into the election year here in the U.S., and there are concerns about what that is going to bring. So with that, that flight to defensive stocks, the dividend-paying stocks, and naturally wanting to add an asset class to the portfolios that is going to add that contrarian safety, safe haven type of feel, something that investors are finding extremely appealing.
Peter, I'm looking at the 10-year TIPS yield kind of for real rates, right? And I see a peak of around 2.5% in late October. And sure enough, and now it's come down to about 2. I mean, so is the decline in real rates what you think might be supportive of gold and Bitcoin, or am I making too much of the coincidental nature of these breakout moves?
Well, that certainly gave it its recent lift to the highs. But I think what was amazing about gold was that it traded as well as it did with the headwinds of higher real rates and a stronger dollar.
Right.
Now you throw in lower real rates and a weakening dollar, this could be the fuel to really have gold take off.
Right. And I guess on that point, then, it's a question of whether it keeps going, Peter. And I'm going to throw a couple things at you. So do gold and Bitcoin keep breaking out? Why do we now have this kind of deep sort of value thing, cyclicals, industrials, transports, like Bob said, also working? And why is all of this a headwind and not a tailwind for things like the Mag 7 stocks and tech?
Well, philosophically, gold and Bitcoin certainly have a lot of similarities. Finite asset, anti-central bank, it can't be printed, and so on. Though how Bitcoin has traded in its existence, it's really traded with the NASDAQ and zero rates and QE. Now it's going to be seen whether it's going to be truly something that's correlated to gold, or it's just a risk on asset because the Fed is going to cut rates next year. I think that remains to be seen. Yeah, and now with respect to the Mag 7, if the Fed starts cutting interest rates, that's because the economy is slowing down. And even the Mag 7, I like to call it the Cult 7, they're still going to be subject to an economic downturn, as well as the other 493.